All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Shawn Porter, Terence Crawford, and something that Lou Dibella had to say about the fight that I thought was very interesting. Let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Before I get into the subject matter of the video, please make sure, if you're not subscribed, to subscribe to the channel. Also, like the video, share the video. It really does go a good long way towards helping the channel grow, and it'd be much appreciated. So, Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter have been ordered to fight by the WBO. Terence Crawford is the WBO champion. Shawn Porter is a champion who has been is a multiple-time champion, having formerly held the IBF championship and held the WBC championship. But Shawn Porter is also somebody that has basically fought all of the other elite heavyweight welterweights out there and have put on a really good showing. And as a result, there's a lot of people that are very excited about him having another championship shot, this time against Terence Crawford for the WBO belt. So there was an interview that came on that was on I do believe it was Behind the Gloves, and it was an interview with Lou Dibella. A regular series where they interview Lou Dibella. Lou Dibella is a promoter from Dibella Entertainment. I do believe he also used to be the president of HBO Sports back in the day. So a guy that's been around boxing and as a promoter, as an executive, and really does know a lot about the sport. I love listening to Lou Dibella. Almost always learn something when I listen to him talk. But he was asked about this fight and what he thought this fight was, and it kind of what he thought about the fights, and it actually was kind of strange, because on one side it's a huge fight for Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter, but at the same time for Terence Crawford it doesn't do anything for his career. And I thought that was a really kind of funny way to view it. But let me tell and I think that I agree with it, but pretty much here it is. This is, for Terence Crawford, going to be the hardest fight of his career on paper. And that is because he's fought the likes of Victor Postol, Yuriorkis Gamboa. Gosh, man, I can't even, who's close. Obviously not Julius Ndungo, Jeff Horn, an old, worn-out Amir Khan, worn-out Kell Brook. Jose, to me, the hardest fight that he probably has had that I can think of recently is probably the Igis Kalvanakis fight, because at least that is somebody we didn't know was worn out. So Shawn Porter, on the other hand, is somebody that obviously is going to beat everybody on his resume. But the amount, even though he doesn't have a championship anymore and he's got 3 losses, he's got a loss to Kell Brook, he's got a loss to Errol Spence Jr., and he's got a loss to Keith Thurman. All of those losses were extremely competitive fights. And then he's got wins over Yordanis Ugas. He's got wins over Danny Garcia. And so those and a bunch of other good fighters. So on paper, this is going to be Terence Crawford's toughest fight. However, when you look at it and you say, okay, well, what does this do for Terence Crawford's career? Terence Crawford's career, does it get him higher in the pound-for-pound ratings? Does it really how does it boost him? And it's interesting. At one point in time, it boosts him because there's more. I think it makes and this is what Lou Dibella said, and I agree, that the fight makes the fight with Errol Spence Jr. a better fight. But at the same time, it doesn't do anything really for Terence Crawford as far as like his standing as how great a fighter he is. Because and this is what Lou Dibella said, and I agree with, if Terence Crawford is everything that they say Terence Crawford is, then Terence Crawford should win this fight. So it's kind of a funny dynamic there, where the win will do a lot for him and do a lot for his chances to make a lot of money in the Errol Spence Jr. fight, but it also doesn't do anything as far as what his accolades are right now, which begs the question: does Terence, with that being the situation, does Terence Crawford really deserve to be in the pound for pound, up in the pound for pound that far? Because if you have the biggest win of your career and all it does is just leave you right where it is, then how do these people know that he deserved to be where he is, right? Because this fight with Shawn Porter is significantly more significant fight. I know that sounded crazy, than any of the other ones he's had. But does that mean that he is he was in the top 1, 2, 3 pound for pound fighters in the world? Should he really be a little bit lower because he's not had a signature win? Where I would suspect most of the other people that get into that list have these big signature wins. But the answer to the question, I think, comes in the fact that he was undisputed. He's an undisputed champion at 147 pounds. And that at the time was something that people had not done in 10 years before he did that. So I think that what gets him in the pound for pound list and keeps him in that discussion is the fact that he's a 3-division champion and the fact that he won all of the belts at 140 pounds. And you really can't fault him for who the competition was at 140 pounds when he was there, even though the Boxing Writers Association of America definitely held that against him when they gave Vasily Lomachenko Fight of the Year, when Vasily Lomachenko had only fought one person in his weight class, but yet Terence Crawford had unified a division. So as far as whether or not it makes the Errol Spence Jr. fight bigger, I don't know if it really does make it any bigger, because I think the fight was as big as it. I mean, it's already a very, very big fight, and it might. I have a suspicion that the fight Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford is a bigger fight than Errol Spence Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. Except for in the fact that you can't really counter in the people from the Philippines or the real diehard Manny Pacquiao fans. On paper, the Manny Pacquiao fight with Errol Spence Jr. sounds bigger, but if Terence Crawford is able to get past this one, past Shawn Porter, and Errol Spence Jr. gets past Manny Pacquiao, then I think you will really see an absolutely huge fight. But I'm not going past that fight too quickly. There's a chance that Terence Crawford could lose to Shawn Porter, because Shawn Porter is really a heck of a fighter, very gritty fighter, and can bring a style there to Terence Crawford that Terence Crawford hasn't had to deal with. But anyway, so that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think, and with that, I'm out. Peace.